Yep, the title is true. I'm selling my PS5, so let's talk about it. Welcome to Mike Texts It Out. I'm Mike, and I'm here possibly for the last time with this PS5 because I am selling it. And no, I'm not trading it for a disc version. I'm actually just getting rid of the PS5 altogether. But yeah, I'm going to give you my reasons as to why I'm selling this PS5. These are going to be my personal reasons. These are all going to be opinion, and I'm only saying this because I don't want this to turn into one of those the Xbox is better type things, your PlayStation sucks. The PS5 is still an awesome system. It's just not a good fit for me. And there are some frustrations that I feel from the system in general that has just not made it click with me. So I want to talk about that. I'm also going to preface this by saying I do have a lot of other ways to play games. Yes, I do have a Series X, and that is one of the ways. But I also have a PC, which is where I primarily play games. I have a Switch OLED. I also have two handheld PCs. I have the GPD-Win 3 and of course the Steam Deck. So I have a lot of other ways to play games. I honestly prefer my handhelds and my PC more than the consoles in general. So again, this is not one of those PS5 is better than Xbox or vice versa type videos. So I'm gonna hop into the reasons that I'm selling this PS5. And we got to start with the software experience. So there's something to be said about the honeymoon phase of when you first get a product and how that can really shape the experience. With the PS5, I played through Astros, I played through Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time, as well as both the Spider-Man games. I tried out Returnal, and even played some of Sackboy's Big Adventure. So I did spend quite a bit of time with the system, and I know you might think that that's not a lot, but I really don't play games for that long. So for me, that was a lot. Like I really maybe finished one or two games a year. I finished 4 games on the system when I first got it. So that's outside of my normal playtime. One of the first things that was annoying was I brought my hard drive over from my PS4, and while it didn't work, a lot of the times when I would restart the system, it'd do that whole thing where it's like, oh, we couldn't read the hard drive, there was an error, and I have to recheck it, like I unplugged it or something, which I didn't. And that went on for probably the first 6 or 7 months I had the system. It seems like it's finally fixed now. It doesn't do it that often anymore, but it's still one of those things that can kind of take away from the honeymoon phase. The other thing is, it has this weird issues with the controller. Not only do I think it's a controller issue, it's just like I'll turn on the system with the controller and it'll say my controller is not connected. Even if I turn on my second controller, it won't recognize that one either, and the only way to fix it is to hold the power button and restart the system. Could also be related to the external drive. I don't know, but it's annoying, and the Series X, which I play even less than this to be honest, doesn't have that issue. There's also the fact that Sony was just kind of late with some features out of the gate. Like when Microsoft said that whole dumb thing about how they're going to have smart delivery where it was going to bring you the game based on the system that you were on. And I'm like, well, obviously that's the way it should work. And then Sony's PS5 came out and they literally had 2 different versions of the game. You had to pick which one it was, and it wasn't well labeled, so you didn't know if you were downloading a PS4 or PS5 game. That's mostly been fixed now, but that was an issue. That was an actual issue when it launched. Also, we didn't get the option to add in extra storage for a while. Now, I do praise them for using standard SSDs, and it has paid off for the consumer because they've come down in price a lot. Like, you can get a 1 terabyte storage upgrade for the PS5 for around $100 now, whereas Microsoft's proprietary solution is like $200 still for a 1 terabyte. You know it's just an M.2 drive in there, so you know that they're charging too much money for it. So I do praise Sony for that. I'm not going to hate on them for that, but the fact that you didn't have an out-of-box storage upgrade option ready, and this hard drive is, I believe, 850 gigs, so it's not even a full 1 terabyte drive anyway, and you get about 700, so you have less space already and you couldn't upgrade it for a while, so that really hurt. Also, features like the high refresh rate mode were missing for a long time. There was just a lot of stuff that they launched with that wasn't ready. And the most annoying thing about the software, and I saved this for last because it's so annoying. Why did they take away the option to just hold the PlayStation button on the controller to bring up the menu to put the system to sleep or turn it off? Like, they added an extra step. Just change it back. Just change it back. I'm over it. Change it back. Another thing is, and this is personal to me, is just the way that I play games has changed. So I don't really play games day one a lot of the times, or I wouldn't say that I don't buy games day one a lot of the time because I'm really busy. So it's like, even if I bought a game day one, realistically, I'm not going to sit there and play through it in like a weekend or something. So I can wait 6 months to a year for some sales and then buy the game when it's on sale. Also, with having Game Pass, that also changed my gameplay habits too, because I can always find something interesting to play on Game Pass. And it's not even the fact that, oh yeah, Microsoft's first party games are up there, but there's just always something new up there that I might not even think about trying, but I'm like, you know what, it's up here, I'm just going to try it. So basically what I'm saying is good things come to those who wait, because a lot of the times either it'll be discounted or I'll end up on Game Pass, and I'll end up playing it that way. Also, with Sony bringing their games to PC now, that kind of adds an additional layer of, well, I can just wait for this to be on PC, where I'm more likely to play it than on the PS5, especially because they don't have cross saves. Like, I started God of War on PS5, then I bought the PC version and most of my progress is on there, so there's really no reason for me to go back and play the PS5 version because there's no cross saves. Now, it's rumored that Sony might be working on this, but I think having cross saves between console and PC is really the next essential feature that they need for their PlayStation games. If I could play God of War on the PlayStation when I'm in the other office, then that'd be great. I probably would play it up there a little bit, then switch back to Steam Deck or switch back to PC. It'd be great to have more ways to play the game and be able to use the PS5. That's one of the things that keeps me on Xbox, is the fact that all those Game Pass games that are on PC, I can just download on my Xbox and have cross saves. For instance, when Hades was up there, which is no longer up there, but sometimes I'll play it on the PC, or sometimes I want to play it downstairs on my OLED on the Xbox, and it was just kind of a seamless experience. So essentially, with me just being able to wait for these games to come to PC and there being no cross saves anyway, it reduces my desire to really have the system. And I will put a disclaimer here, we don't know what games are coming to PC from Sony. So if you are a huge PlayStation fan, I'm not saying get rid of the PlayStation and move over to PC. It's just, for me personally, I don't play a lot of PlayStation exclusives anyway outside of God of War and Spider-Man. And those have both made their way to PC, so I'm thinking that their sequels will probably eventually come to PC as well, even if it's like a year later. The next thing we gotta talk about is the controller. So I really had mixed feelings about this in the beginning. Now I've kind of made peace with what this is, and I'm ready to accept it for what it is. And the first thing I had to accept was the haptic triggers were really, really cool. And when I got this controller, I was like, man, these are cool. The haptics on this controller are really cool. But it's all a gimmick. It's still a gimmick. Like, every time Sony comes out with a new controller feature, yeah, it's cool, but you just know that this isn't gonna make it beyond their first party games in any meaningful way. Returnal uses it really well. There's a few games that use it well, like Astro's Playroom, but it's not a game-changing feature like I was hoping it would be. And that's fine. Like, it's still a cool feature to have. I'm not knocking it, but it's not game-changing enough to make me keep this system just to experience the haptic triggers. The other thing with the controller, the biggest thing that they haven't fixed from the PS4 is the battery life is trash. I was really hoping that they would have better battery life with these controllers. And like I said earlier, I'm a pretty casual gamer. I was killing these controllers on the regular. Like, within 1 or 2 days of playing, maybe like 4 to 5 hour sessions, this thing would be dead. I have to plug it in. And it's disappointing. I felt like the PS4 was the same. And maybe if you are a PlayStation user, you're kind of used to that battery life. But on the Xbox, it isn't that way. And before you go up there and talk about disposable batteries, yes, the Xbox controllers do have disposable batteries, but you know what? They last a lot longer. If we're talking about making a compromise, I would have rather Sony just put batteries in here, because at least you can get a battery pack, and if you want a good rechargeable battery that's going to last you a lot longer, you have options. With this being built into the controller, the battery life is always going to be garbage, and you're going to buy something like this, a stupid charging stand, so you have to keep it charged like 24 hours or else it's just going to be dead, and have an extra controller on standby. So I was really hoping that they improve the battery life. If they're not going to fix it, then just give us disposable batteries. So Sony, you got two options: fix the battery life in these controllers or kill the environment. Those are the best options right now. I'm sorry. The final thing is not going to be surprising if you saw my videos about PlayStation Plus Premium, but it's the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. That was the thing that really killed it for me. I already did a 7-minute rant about PlayStation Plus Premium and why it was a bad value, so I'm not going to do that again. Essentially, it was just a lot of games that are already on PlayStation Plus previously, or have already been on Game Pass for a very long time, and then they just didn't want to let up on any like newer games that were still good sellers. There were some current games up there, like Returnal was up there, but also the PS5 games were so limited. I feel like most PS5 owners already have those games. Also, the backwards compatibility was a joke. That back compat library, the PS1 and PS2 games are on like a handful. The PS3 was streaming only, despite the PS5 being powerful enough to obviously emulate PS3 games at this point, but Sony doesn't want to do the work for it. That was included in the higher tier as if that was a bonus thing. Then also they put the game trials in the highest tier. You mean game demos that I used to get my pepperoni from Pizza Hut back in '99? You charging me for that now? So yes, there were a lot of things that I found frustrating about it. The two things that would have been meaningful to me really would have been the PS3 games being able to run natively, like having that PS3 library. They had some really good games up there, but I don't want to stream them because the experience is still just not good enough. There's just a little bit too much latency to make it a fully enjoyable experience. And also just having those new games up there. Like if I would have got Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, a game that I'm not interested enough to buy myself, but if it was part of the subscription service, I would gladly pay the money to play it, and I probably would play it, and I probably would like it. But I'm not going to pay $70 for it because I'm not that big of a Ratchet & Clank fan. Same thing with Horizon. Like, you have Extra and you have Premium, and Premium you just fill with meaningless features. In my opinion, Premium should have been the one where you get the games day one. And Sony is claiming this because the way they make games, and the way they monetize off of games, it wouldn't be worth it. Just charge the amount where it'd be worth it. Think about this. If they charged the price of 4 PS5 games, which would be $280 a year, that's roughly 23, you could probably round it up to $25 a month. People would pay that. Diehard Sony fans would pay that. I would probably pay that. I would probably pay the $25 a month if it means that I got all the first party releases and they had a better selection of games up there. And they would also have to have native PS3 games. But I would pay that. I would pay $25 a month, and I'm sure that there are a lot of diehard Sony fans, if they could get those games on day one, they would probably pay that much. If that's what it's worth to Sony, then just make a tier where it costs that much and you get the games on day one. That's all I really asked for. Like, this was supposed to be their answer to Game Pass, and it really ended up kind of being an embarrassment. So in conclusion, it was really a lot of small things that added up, compounded with them starting to put their games on PC, then with their PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium kind of being a bad value, in my opinion. That was just kind of the icing on the cake. I was really just looking for a reason, with me primarily being a PC player. How could this be a complement to the games I already offer on PC? Or how can they offer me some kind of extra value that makes me want to come back to play this system specifically, like those PS3 games? And I think that they've, right now at least, failed on both parts. And I'm not closed off to the idea of possibly revisiting the PS5 in the future, once they've kind of gotten their stuff together, if they ever get there. But for right now, I'd just rather have some extra money for the holidays and get rid of this thing. I'm actually not selling it for that much money. I'm selling it to a friend for $300 with both the controllers. And I'm throwing in my PlayStation VR because I don't need it anymore. So yeah, I'm not even getting the full $600 back that I paid for it. But I don't like gouging people for used stuff. I'm just not that type of person. So yeah, $300 for all this stuff. I'm ripping myself off, but I'd rather have one of my friends have a good holiday and be able to play God of War when it comes out because he really wants to play it. And I'd rather be able to buy some other stuff that I'm going to use. So I'm bringing this video to a conclusion. Let me know if you have a PS5, how your experience has been so far, how you feel about PlayStation Plus Premium and Extra. Did you run into any weird software issues? I'm just kind of curious about what everyone's experience is. Anyway, I'm bringing this video to a conclusion. But if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified when I drop a video. And always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace.